Thank you very much, Pastor Wallace. It's good to see all of you. Discipleshift, that is what we are looking at this month, as Pastor Wallace said a bit earlier. Before we do the Bible reading, one of my favorite personalities in the Bible is actually Jesus and the Apostle Andrew. In the book of John, chapter 1, we are told that John the Baptist had two of his disciples, which we believe is Andrew and John. And then John the Baptist saw Jesus. And then he told the two disciples, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." And Andrew and John followed Jesus. And they say, "We want to see where you stay." And we are told that they stayed that evening and the night with Jesus. And the next day, Andrew went and got his brother Peter. And when he got his brother Peter, he told him, "Come and see Jesus." Something happened to Andrew. There is something so special about Jesus that Andrew saw. And when he saw it, he didn't want to keep it to himself. He wanted to introduce Peter to this Jesus. That is discipleship. That's the process of making disciples. He was hardly 2 days in terms of his knowledge of Jesus, but he wanted to introduce his brother to Jesus. And something very interesting happens in the Bible about Andrew. He's no longer really called Andrew as such whenever he's introduced in the Bible. He's the brother of Simeon, or the brother of Peter. And of course, when Jesus sees Peter, he says, "You shall no longer be called Simeon, you shall be called Peter or Caiaphas." That means the rock. You never know the person you introduce to Jesus, what they will become. And so Peter leads the church, but he's standing on the shoulders of Andrew. And God calls you and I to discipleship, to make disciples, to call others and introduce them to Jesus and build them up in Jesus and support others in Jesus. And today, after the Bible reading, because like Pastor Wallace said, our time was eaten up a bit. Immediately after the Bible reading, I just want to we'll have some clips which will show some of a member from this church, how they are doing discipleship. And then from there, I'll probably conclude if we have a bit of time. So I'll ask the sound room to be ready after the Bible reading to just show us a clip of the testimony of some members of this church when it comes to discipleship. Let's read the Bible together. We're reading from Matthew chapter 28, and we'll read from verse 18 to 20. Matthew chapter 28 from verse 18 to 20. Read with me. Jesus said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." The Bible story is a restorative narrative, or a narrative of restoration. In the sense that whenever you read a book, whenever an author writes a book, there's usually something, an aim that they have in their minds that they want to accomplish. There's something they want to achieve. What the Bible wants to achieve is the story of restoration of mankind and all creation to God. And that is why it only dedicates one chapter to the origin of all things. And then the next chapter is about how wonderful everything exists or existed as long as they were under the leadership of God, or as long as man obeyed God. And then the third chapter, we are shown how everything went wrong. And everything went wrong when man was no longer under the authority and the guidance of God. Several things happened to man after he left the guidance of God. There was shame, there was fear, there was selfishness. And then we begin to see the progressive or degeneration of mankind as a result of sin. Shame, fear, and selfishness. And you will begin to see these things in terms of discipleship. Because Andrew would have been very shameful, he would have been fearful, not even to tell Peter. And of course, you and I, are faced with the same issues that sin brings into our lives. And then we begin to see after man fell, God brings about a plan to restore man to himself so that all creation will be restored. And this story is told on the background of the effects of sin, so that we see the working of sin, and then we see the working of God in restoring man. Sin leading to death, and the work of God leading to life. The best picture we see in this is the story of the Israelites in Egypt. They're in slavery. They're enslaved. Just like sin enslaves us. And then God calls them out. He says, come and worship me. And the culmination of that worship is the building of the temple, the building of the tabernacle, where God, for the first time, can be found in a place where man can go and meet him. Of course, man cannot go and meet God directly. They had to come with an animal to slaughter just to remind them that because of your sin, you deserve to die. You cannot face the living God and live. And so all the time, they would come and they would sacrifice something to show that they don't deserve to stand in the presence of God. This is the first time that God comes and man can meet God again. But it is not until God himself comes in Jesus and dies for us and defeats death, the final enemy, by resurrecting again, that you and I are called the temples of God. Which means God, when you accept Jesus Christ, God dwells in you. And he dwells in me. And men and women get to meet God through you and I. What a privilege that you and I have to be temples of the living God. A place where people can come to. Where no longer are animals slaughtered because Jesus has died once for all. And it is through this process of restoration that we read in Matthew chapter 28, from verse 18 to 20. We see here the fact, he says that all authority has been given to me. We realize that disciple makers recognize that their authority and competence comes from God and not from themselves. And so you and I cannot say we are disciple makers or we are into this discipleship because of who we are. But it's because of who God is. And that's why he says, all authority has been given to me, because he has paid that price in heaven and on earth. And he confers that authority to you and to us. In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5, he says, not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. Disciples represent Jesus. And therefore it is necessary for every Christian at their own level, just like Andrew, to pass on what they have received to Jesus. Andrew didn't wait to become an expert. And that is why in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2, Paul is able to tell Timothy this. And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will be qualified to teach others. It is not just about taking it out there. It's looking out for reliable people who will be able then to pass it on to others, to be able to teach this discipleship. It's a bit like people coming out of a deep hole that they were going all to die, and then they are helping one another up to get out of that hole. And so Christians, we are called to be deliberate in using our lives to consciously point and help others towards Christ-likeness. You can see in the whole area of discipleship, there is an aspect of modeling. Paul talking to Timothy, he says, what you've heard in me and what you've seen in me, Paul modeled what Christ is like to Timothy. And then Paul had mentored Timothy. He had taught him so that Timothy could teach others. So there is an aspect of mentoring that happens there. And there is an aspect of teaching. He says, to reliable men or to reliable people, to reliable men and women who will be qualified to teach others. And so I'll ask the sound, the audio-visual team to just present a bit of the testimony that we have, that you may hear. and then we'll conclude from there.
My name is Joki Karanja, and I love Jesus Christ as my Savior. I got born again in 1984, July 22nd. At least those I can remember. It was a beautiful time, and it was a beautiful day receiving Christ as my Savior. I thank God for the work that He has worked with me, and I continue to serve Him in ministry. And from 1991, I started serving in the ministry of women ministries. So I've been serving with women since then, since 1991. And I continued doing that until 2009 when I joined Karura Community Chapel. And here I served quite a bit with the women ministry, but I stopped that in about 2013. From there, from 2012, because my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, got very sick, I was asked by my brother to be her caregiver, and I did that until 2014. And that actually broke the service that I was serving in the church itself. But in the meantime, I had already started having ladies come to my home, and we had started a ministry in my home where I would mentor them or disciple them in the things of marriage. This came about from 2010. My daughter-in-law, I gave her some material from Cardo Ministries, Wisdom for Mothers and Freedom for Mothers, which I had received as I continued serving with the women. And after some time, after she looked at those materials, she said, "Mom, I don't think I can do this material on my own. Could you please mentor us, be our mentoring mom, and also can I invite a friend?" And that's how this ministry started. The ministry I have of Titus 2, from verse 3 to 5, older women teaching the younger women. How I don't identify people to come. They're actually brought in by their friends. And their friends would have listened to them and heard them having problems in their marriages and in the way they are bringing up their children. And their friends would tell them, "Come with me. I have an auntie who can help you." So that's how people have come to me. And so it started with my daughter. She came with a friend. They came also, and then from there it grew. It started off in my house, in our sitting room, a small sitting room. And then it has grown now to a few groups. Last year at 79, because before COVID, I had a group on Wednesdays, Tuesday there was a group, but it's mainly of men. That one we do it with my husband. He needs me as a suitable helper because I am more familiar with the Bible than he is. Tuesday there's a group, Wednesday and Thursday, and Saturday.
So your home is a church?
Yes, my home is a church.
Yeah.
All these years, I haven't really counted them, but I've had quite a lot of people. The groups are mainly between 6, 7, 8 women per session. But I've worked also with a few of them for quite a long time, since 2010, sometimes 2011. So there are some people I've worked with for 8, 9 years. We just continue working together. It's not that I ask them to come and then minister to them 2, 3 times and then they go away. No, we continue for a year, 2 years, because the subjects that we are talking about, the marriage, the children, and that kind of things, really knowing God really becomes something that you have to work together over a long period of time. They've been very happy, many of them, because they have come to know God more. They are able to walk with God on their own and also help others. That's what I've seen. They do tell me that they also minister to others, because some people, of course, they feel that it's better they minister to them themselves. And I encourage them a lot that I'm not doing this for you so that you keep all this to yourself. I'm doing it so that you also can minister to others. The people I can reach are very few, but the people you can reach, because these are younger women, from about 30, let's say from 25 onwards to about 50, that is the age group. Because so the younger women, they have other friends. They might feel that this lady you're telling me is too old. What will she know? She's already gone in her marriage for 43 years. What will she tell me? So it's easier for them now to minister to their own age group. The love of Jesus Christ and the knowledge that the knowledge that God has given me in my own marriage, and being able to comfort others. Paul says that when you have been comforted, comfort others. For me, it has meant in whichever area God has comforted me, then I should also comfort others. In the area of my marriage, He has comforted me. So I also pray that I will also comfort others. In the area of grief and going through trials, because there are many in life, God continues to comfort us in many areas. So as He comforts me, I also comfort others who come with various needs. Yeah, but mainly to know God more. Because there's a problem, I think, in our time. We have associated God with things, that if things are going well here on earth, then that's when God, is in your life. So when trials come, people are very ill prepared, and their walk with God sometimes collapses. And so this is the time that they need somebody who can walk with them even through this and show them that God is God, even in troubles, even in trials. I would really like to encourage other people to disciple other people. It means also bringing people close to you. And it means allowing people to also see into your life, becoming vulnerable, and helping them understand how God has helped you to understand who He is and what He wants us to do. So that really is my real motive, is actually to help them to know Jesus more. So if that is your passion, then you'll want to work with people. Yeah, but it has to be a long-term walk. It's not short-term. Yeah, as you heard, I've worked with some people for 8, and they still want me to work with them. Yeah, hospitality is very necessary because they must feel at home. And God has been very, very faithful in that. He has provided me enough space in my home. The first space, the sitting room, was small. So my husband turned an area which was not being used into a place where now I and my ladies can sit and we are very comfortable. It's a nice area. And you have to make people feel at home, that this is home for them. And they come, there's always a cup of tea. God has been very gracious. A cup of tea, a bite, coffee, because we are a family of coffee growers. So coffee, tea, some juice, and something to eat.
So there's a cost to discipleship?
Yes, there is a cost. Yeah. It's not about perfection. It's about Jesus. Really, if you focus on Jesus, who is the one that we have to focus on, you will be able to disciple people. It's not about perfection. And walking with Jesus and walking closely with Jesus helps you. And you understand it's not that he also did not minister to perfect people. He didn't come to perfect people. He came to people who are just like me. And when the ones who give me a lot of encouragement is reading the Acts of the Apostles. That encourages me a lot. And seeing what they went through, I also share with them what I also go through. Because it's not that I'm perfect, that my life is A1, things go smoothly. There are ups and downs, finances, children, So there are many things one experiences, even facing my, going with my sister, walking with my sister-in-law, through that cancer, walking with my mother, through her sickness, Alzheimer's, my father as well. So there are many things that will happen, and people get to see that you're also vulnerable. You're also a human being. And we are working together in this, because you don't hide to them what's happening. I've really not called it really that discipleship. I've called it more mentoring, because my area expertise is marriage and walking with them and helping them to know Jesus Christ much, much more in this. And it's something I've enjoyed doing. It gives me a lot of satisfaction, especially when somebody comes and tells me they have changed, and because of this and this and this and this, they have seen this, they've done wrong here, they've done wrong there, and accepting that they have a role to play to change the situations in their lives. Yeah, that has given me a lot of satisfaction. Yeah, they're there, but I usually lead them to Christ. Yeah, because I make it, it's one of the things I tell them, that I cannot really minister to you, because the only way I can minister to you is by giving you Christ. Without Christ, you can't change. So there is no need to even counsel you or tell you anything unless Christ is in you. So I can sometimes, somebody can spend some time to come to Christ. And if they don't want to come to Christ, we end it there. After 2 or 3 sessions. That's lovely and fun. Yes, it was, first of all, it was scary, because I didn't know how I could reach them. The difference in age is very big. And I was wondering, really, Lord, will I know how to bridge this gap? But with Christ, He'll tell you, He'll lead you. So it's been fun. We've been working together now for over 1.5 years with my granddaughter and her 2 friends. And now I can see that they are slowly coming to understand what it means to walk with Christ.
So you not only disciple your granddaughter,
Yes.
it's your granddaughter and her friends.
Yes.
So you're discipling generations.
Yes, I am praying that it will be generations, and it's a great thing to just see them bloom and see and really accept that they can actually walk with Jesus Christ, even in this time. Yeah. Well, we were running the business with my husband, but since I started being very busy with this ministry, he is doing it himself with assistance here and there. So that has not really been a real problem. So where he needs me to assist, I do. But COVID has made the business very difficult. But it has grown the ministry. Yeah, it has grown the ministry, because we have gone to Zoom, and people don't find it difficult to come all the way to my house. So we just on computer. So it has grown. I'm able to minister even Even on one-on-one, somebody is asking for help. So we just find time. The benefits are there because you get a closer walk with God. I get a closer walk with God because I have to prepare and I have to walk closely with God. Without that closeness, I would not be able to do that. That's a great benefit. Actually, that's the greatest benefit I have seen. My growth in walking with the Lord. The challenges are, being able to, you have to be very patient because they don't always come. Having to follow people up, especially when you have to follow them up to understand what is happening. Like, how come I didn't see you at this time? And what's happening? Following up also is a challenge. But the Lord has given me that ability. And just being, actually those are the two biggest problems. Well, at the moment there are big opportunities because as long as you have a computer or a phone, you can actually mentor somebody. And as long as the mentee has a phone, you can actually be able to now talk at any time, as long as the two of you have agreed. And it's much easier now with the technology because it's about timing, so you can work with a lot of people, many more people than when it was one-on-one. And then we are saying with my girls that when COVID is over, we can now be meeting probably once in 2 months or once in 3 months, just one, face-to-face, and continue with the technology, because it helps us now to do even more, because we finish a study, then we can go to another one, because now there are many studies that are available, and we just continue working together as long as they need to work with me. Love. You have to love people. Yeah, I have understood what Jesus meant about love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. Love does not insist on having its own way. Those ones have really been big lessons for me. You can't insist on having your own way. And being kind, being patient, and just loving people in the way that 1 Corinthians 13 teaches. It has really confirmed what God has taught me right through the time that we've been with these ladies, and also confirmed that what I've been doing is in line with what Jesus has commanded. Loving people and being with them, doing things with them, giving them time, because that's what we really find difficult. Because will I have time? Just the Lord helping me give this time is really a privilege and an honor. Yeah, because most people don't have that time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Let's appreciate Njoki. Wherever she is, thank you so much, Njoki, wherever you are. Discipleship, it's happening right here. Not 2,000 years ago. It is happening in our midst. Are you going to be part of it? The last 2 CLGs I attended, it was by 2 single people. And it was a bed-sitter room. Just small rooms. But they are meeting, they are sacrificing their time to be able to help people to grow. What is God telling you in this day, Pastor Wallace, as you take us to the next level? May the Lord bless you. May the Lord watch over you. Just like Njoki said, it benefits you actually much more. It gives you community. It gives you family. We are better together.